You have a vision for how you want your life to be. And the fact that that vision came from within, that it revealed itself to you, means you have the capacity to create and experience it, period. If you didn't have the capacity to create and experience it, you wouldn't have the ability to perceive it. But there is something I noticed first within myself, then when I looked around, and it's something that so many of us struggle with, the gap between vision and action. Today, I'm going to share what I learned about this gap and how to start closing it. Hey there, I'm Anna, and on this channel, we redesign our lives from the inside out through sovereignty, sacred strategy, and doing work that we actually love. Before we get into the gap, I just want to be clear on what I mean when I talk about the vision. I'm not talking about seeing someone else's life and deciding that you want that. I'm not talking about the vision that someone handed to you and told you this is what your life should look like. I'm talking about the vision that reveals itself to you after you tune in, after you genuinely ask yourself what you value, what brings you peace, what creates joy in your life. That vision. That's the one I'm talking about. The one you have the capacity to create. I genuinely believe that. But between seeing it and living it, there's a gap. And most people spend years thinking that the gap is something that it's not. Let's break this down using my own life experience. When I get clear on a vision, I get motivated, inspired, I create a plan, the steps, the timelines, the milestones. It's all very thought out and strategic. The first week, I'm doing things from the plan. But if I'm honest, they're surface level things. They're not the actual work. I've mentioned before that I've wanted to share on YouTube for years. When I got clear on the vision, taking this tiny corner of the internet and sharing my stories, my experiences, my perspectives, building a community where together we redesign our lives from the inside out. I would get motivated, create a plan, brainstorm ideas, research editing softwares, look into YouTube courses, build a content calendar, but none of that was the actual work. Physically, I felt like I was too tired from life and work. Mentally, I felt like I wasn't ready. Like the timing was off, like the season was too chaotic of a season. But here's what I had to learn the hard way. Those were not the gap. Those were the symptoms. The actual gap was deeper than that. Let me give you one more example. This one's about money. Between my husband and I, we accumulated $80,000 of debt. When I finally faced the number, I cried. I got really pissed off at myself for letting it get this far. And then a decision was made. We were going to pay it off. We got motivated. My husband did research. We created a plan. We hired someone to help us figure this out. We set the system in place and I thought, that's it. But I still spent money unintentionally on things that didn't matter. I ate out 4 to 5 times a week. I ordered too much from Amazon. Every time we made progress, we'd make a purchase that would put us back. It felt like running in place. Physically, it was exhausting. Mentally, I felt like a failure, like I was irresponsible, like I would never learn. But again, those weren't the gaps. Those were the symptoms. Here's what the real gaps were. Fear, feeling unworthy, and waiting for permission. I know that's not easy to hear, especially if you're someone who prides themselves of being strong, of being able to get through things regardless of how hard they are. And I want to say clearly, you are strong. You can overcome. Fear, feeling unworthiness, waiting for permission, don't negate that. They're just the thing underneath the thing. Here's what I had to admit to myself about the creator vision. I fear failing, and more than that, I fear being witnessed in failure. I fear causing harm. A perspective share in the wrong moment can land in a way that was never intended. I fear being seen because yes, when you're seen, amazing people that are genuinely there for you and caring and have your best interests at heart see you, but people that want to cause harm will also see you. I at times feel unworthy of doing creative work. My ancestors worked labor jobs, physical work, low paying, maybe not always joyful in the work itself, but joyful in being able to provide for your family. Who am I to make a living doing work that I love? Who am I to come on here and share a perspective or share my experience when there's so many wonderful, amazing souls out there that are super talented? And sometimes I wait for permission. For someone to tell me, yes, it's okay for you, a 41-year-old woman of color who spent over 15 years in the medical field, to want to do something a bit more creative, to create content, to share stories, to build something. That's the gap. And with money, the same pattern showed up differently. I feared experiencing more freedom. Debt, unless it's used strategically, takes a piece of your future self, of your freedom, before you've even earned it. But I grew up around debt. My household had it. I got into debt early in college. Freedom from it felt unfamiliar, unknown. And I feared what more freedom would mean. What would I do with that freedom? Would I still feel relatable to others? Would I lose connection with people that I love? And I also felt unworthy of it. Who am I to have more freedom than my mother, than my grandmother, than my great grandmother, than all of my ancestors? There are so many people that deserve more rest, more peace, more joy, more options. Who am I to have that when they don't? And I waited for permission, for someone to tell me it's okay to be a 41-year-old woman of color that doesn't owe anyone anything, who can make moves from empowerment and alignment instead of financial pressure, when financial pressure has been embedded in my identity for so long. That's the gap. Fear, feeling unworthiness, and waiting for permission. And if you feel brave today, drop in the comments and let me know if this is you too. You don't have to share the whole story, even just an "I feel this" lets me know that you're here. If you want support identifying the actual gap, what fear is coming up, where the unworthiness comes from, what permission you're waiting for, I have 2 ways to work with me. My Clarity Intensive is a one-on-one session where we do this work together. We clarify the vision, identify the aligned action, and work through what's actually in the way. And if the money gap resonated specifically, I created a sacred money ritual as a structured practice to work through exactly this. Both of them are going to be linked in the description. I want to leave you with something before I go. I love the self-development world, but sometimes when you watch someone lay out all the steps you need to take to achieve your dream and you get excited, you start to take those steps, you start to feel the momentum, and then after a week or 2, you stop. And that feeling that follows, that maybe there's something wrong with you, that maybe you're broken, that maybe this just isn't meant for you, that feeling is a lie. There is nothing wrong with you, you're not broken, and you absolutely are meant to have that experience. You just need to identify the gap specifically for you. What's your fear? How do you feel unworthy of the vision? What permission are you waiting for, and how can you give that to yourself? That's where the work really begins. And in the next video, I'm going to be sharing how I started to close that gap. And it's probably not what you think. And if you don't want to miss that video, consider subscribing so that you don't miss out. And if you feel this video would be supportive to someone that you know, feel free to share it with them. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.